My 9-year-old daughter came home and said, "Grandma and her aunt went to the movies. They said I would be a distraction, so I stayed in the car." She tried to smile like it didn't matter. I didn't ask anything. I grabbed my coat, drove straight to their house, opened the door, and without thinking twice I did this. My 9-year-old daughter tried to smile when she said it. "Grandma and Aunt Rachel went to the movies. They said I would be a distraction, so I stayed in the car." She said it quickly like it was nothing important. Then she shrugged and started taking off her shoes. That smile bothered me more than the words. Kids don't smile like that unless they are trying to make something sound less bad than it was. I didn't ask any questions. I grabbed my coat and my keys. Lily looked up from the floor. "Are we going somewhere?" "Yes." She didn't argue. She just followed me back to the car. The drive to my mother's house took 15 minutes. I kept hearing the same sentence over and over in my head. I stayed in the car. I had left Lily there that morning before my shift at the hospital. I had no other option. My schedule had changed last minute and daycare was closed. My parents had watched Lily dozens of times before. My sister Rachel lived with them too. It had always seemed safe. I trusted them. For years I had helped them with money whenever they needed it. When my dad lost his job, I helped cover part of the mortgage. When Rachel said she couldn't afford her car payment, I paid it. Groceries, utilities, repairs. They told everyone how grateful they were. And that morning my mother hugged Lily and told me not to worry. "Go to work. We'll have a fun day." When we pulled into the driveway, Lily stayed in the car while I walked to the front door. I didn't knock. I opened it and walked inside. The TV was on. My mom and Rachel were on the couch with takeout containers on the table like they were having a perfectly relaxing evening. Rachel looked up first. "You're back early." I looked at both of them. "Where was Lily while you two were at the theater?" My mom blinked like the question confused her. Then she said something that made the entire room go quiet. "Relax. He was fine. He had the car." For a second I thought I misunderstood. "You left my 9-year-old daughter alone in a parking lot." Rachel rolled her eyes. "It was 2 hours. He had my phone to play games." "You're acting dramatic." I walked to the coffee table, picked up the TV remote and turned the movie off. Then I grabbed every takeout container on the table and dumped all of it straight into the trash. Rachel jumped up. "What are you doing?" I looked at both of them. "I'm about to fix a mistake I've been making for years." Neither of them understood what I meant yet. But they were about to. Rachel stared at the trash can like I had just committed a crime. "Are you serious right now?" I ignored her. My mom crossed her arms. "Maria, you're overreacting. He was perfectly safe. Nothing happened. Nothing happened." Those words kept repeating in my head. I looked at them for a few seconds and realized something that made the situation worse. Neither of them felt even slightly guilty. "Did you at least check on her while you were inside the theater?" Rachel laughed. "How would we do that? We were watching the movie." "So for 2 hours my daughter sat alone in a car in a random parking lot while you watched a movie?" My mom waved her hand like it was nothing. "It was daytime. Stop acting like we abandoned her in the woods." I walked past them and opened the front door. Lily was still sitting in the passenger seat of my car, exactly where I left her. She looked up when she saw me. "Are we going home?" "In a minute." I helped her out of the car and walked her inside. The moment Rachel saw Lily, she said something that made my stomach twist. "She's fine." Lily stood quietly next to me. She looked at the floor. I crouched down next to her. "How long were you in the car?" He thought for a second. "I don't know. A long time." "Did anyone come check on you?" She shook her head. "Did you try to go inside?" Her answer came quickly. "Grandma said not to. She said the people at the theater would get mad if kids were running around." I slowly stood up. Rachel looked annoyed now. "You're interrogating her like we committed a crime." I walked to the kitchen counter and grabbed a small notepad that my mom kept next to the phone. Then I wrote 3 numbers on it. Mortgage payment. Car payment. Grocery account. My mom frowned. "What is that?" I slid the paper across the counter toward them. "Those are the things I've been paying for you." Rachel laughed. And starting today I'm not paying for any of it anymore." Both of them stared at me like I had just said something ridiculous. My mom shook her head. "Maria, don't be childish." Rachel leaned back against the couch. "You wouldn't actually do that." I looked at Lily standing quietly by the door. Then I looked back at them. I already did. The mortgage payment was due tomorrow. And for the first time in years I had decided not to send it. That's when my mother suddenly stood up. Because she realized something Rachel hadn't yet. They couldn't afford that house without me. My mother stared at the piece of paper on the counter like it had just turned into something dangerous. Maria, stop this nonsense. Rachel still didn't understand. She picked up the paper and looked at the numbers. Mortgage payment. Car payment. Grocery account. She laughed again. You're bluffing. I shook my head. Oh. My mom stepped closer. You can't just cut us off like that over something this small. Something small. I looked at Lily again. She was sitting quietly on a chair by the door, swinging her feet a little and watching the floor. You left a 9-year-old alone in a parking lot for 2 hours. My mom sighed. She had a phone. Rachel added something else. And the doors were locked. I stared at them. You don't even hear yourselves. Rachel crossed her arms. You're acting like we put her in danger. I pulled my phone out of my pocket and opened something. Actually, you did. Then I turned the screen toward them. It was a photo. Not taken by me. Taken by a stranger. Rachel leaned forward. What is that? Facebook post. My mom squinted at the screen. The picture showed a small silver car in a theater parking lot. Inside the car was Lily, curled up in the passenger seat, a blanket around her shoulders. Rachel's voice got quieter. Where did you get that? I scrolled down and showed them the caption. Someone had posted it in the local community group. The caption said, "Does anyone know whose child this is? She's been sitting alone in this car for a long time." I knocked on the window and she said her grandma told her to stay inside. My mom slowly sat down. Rachel looked confused. Wait, how did you see that? Because the woman who posted it works with me at the hospital. She sent it to me an hour ago asking if the car looked familiar. Neither of them said anything. I kept talking. Do you know what would have happened if someone else saw that post first? Rachel didn't answer. Police would have shown up. My mom looked pale now. I continued. Or someone worse could have noticed a little girl sitting alone in a locked car for 2 hours. Rachel finally spoke again. But nothing happened. That sentence again. Nothing happened. I nodded slowly. You're right. Nothing happened. Then I picked up the keys from the counter. But the reason nothing happened is because a stranger kept checking on her. Rachel blinked. What? I turned the phone around again and showed them the last message from the woman who posted it. I stayed nearby because she looked scared. I was about to call the police. My mom covered her mouth. Rachel looked like she was trying to process something she hadn't expected. And that was when Lily quietly said something from the chair behind me. Something neither of them were prepared to hear. Lily spoke quietly from the chair behind me. The lady came 3 times. The room went completely silent. My mother slowly turned toward her. 3 times? Lily nodded. She asked if I was okay. She said she could call someone for me. Rachel shifted uncomfortably. And what did you say? Grandma said to stay in the car. So I told the lady my grandma would come back soon. My mom looked at me. Maria, we didn't know someone was bothering her. I stared at her. Helping her. Not bothering her. Lily kept talking, still looking at the floor. The lady waited near the benches. I could see her from the window. Rachel frowned. Why would she do that? Because she thought a child had been abandoned in a parking lot. Rachel opened her mouth to argue again, but nothing came out this time. My mom finally stood up. We didn't think it was a big deal. That sentence made something in my head click into place. Exactly. You didn't think. Rachel rubbed her forehead. Maria, you're blowing this way out of proportion. I pulled my phone out again and opened my banking app. Then I placed it on the table in front of them. Rachel looked down at the screen. It showed several monthly transfers. Mortgage support. Rachel car payment. Family groceries. Utility assistance. All sent from my account. Every month. Rachel looked up slowly. Okay. I scrolled to the most recent one. Then I showed them the date. Last month. The next scheduled payment was tomorrow morning. Rachel's voice got quieter. So what are you saying? I tapped the screen and canceled the scheduled transfer. Right in front of them. I'm saying the free ride is over. My mom looked stunned. You can't punish us like this. Punish you? I pointed toward Lily. You left my daughter alone in a parking lot while you went to watch a movie. Rachel shook her head. You're choosing this over family. Oh. I picked up my keys again. I'm choosing my daughter over people who treat her like an inconvenience. I walked to the door and Lily stood up immediately. My mom hurried after me. Maria, wait. I opened the door. The night air hit my face and for a second I thought the conversation was finished. Then my mom said something behind me that stopped me halfway to the car. "Maria, if you stop helping us, we lose the house next month." I turned slowly, because that was the first honest thing anyone had said all night. And it made what I was about to do even easier. I stood next to the car for a moment after my mom said it. "If you stop helping us, we lose the house next month." 4 years that sentence would have worked on me immediately. I would have felt guilty. I would have started calculating how much I could move around in my budget. I would have convinced myself that family needed help. But this time I looked through the car window. Lily was already buckled in, sitting quietly with her hands folded in her lap. Waiting. And I suddenly remembered something. When my dad lost his job 5 years ago, I started helping with the mortgage because they said it was temporary. Just a few months until things stabilize. A few months turned into years. Then Rachel needed help with her car. Then groceries. Then utilities. There was always something. And every time I hesitated, my mom said the same thing. Family helps family. I opened the car door but didn't get inside yet. Instead I turned back toward the house. Rachel and my mom were standing in the doorway watching me like they were waiting for the moment I changed my mind. "Maria," my mom said. "Don't do something you'll regret." I walked a few steps toward them. "I won't regret protecting my daughter." Rachel stepped forward. "You're destroying this family over one misunderstanding." One misunderstanding. I looked at her. "Do you know what Lily told me during the drive here?" Rachel didn't answer. I continued. "She said she tried not to fall asleep because she was afraid you would come back and leave again if she didn't notice." My mom closed her eyes. Rachel shifted her weight. "Kids imagine things." I shook my head slowly. "Well, kids remember things." I took one more step closer. "And here's the part you still don't understand." Rachel frowned. "What part?" I pulled my phone out again and opened the Facebook post from the woman at my hospital. The one with the picture of Lily sitting in the car. Then I turned the screen toward them. Rachel stared at it. "We already saw that." I scrolled down. "You didn't see the comments." There were dozens of them. People tagging the local police department. People asking if anyone had called child services. People saying the adult responsible should be reported. My mom's face went pale. Rachel whispered something. "He didn't." I looked at both of them. "Well, I didn't report you. Yet." Rachel's eyes widened. "You wouldn't actually do that." I locked my phone and slid it back into my pocket. "That depends on something." My mom swallowed. "On what?" I pointed toward Lily in the car. "On whether I ever hear my daughter say something like that again." Neither of them spoke. The silence lasted a long few seconds. Then Rachel said something that made the entire situation take an even stranger turn. "Wait." She looked confused. "What do you mean again?" I stared at her. "What?" Rachel looked between me and my mom. "You're acting like this is the first time something like this happened." My stomach dropped. Because the way she said it sounded very casual. Too casual. And in that moment I realized there might be something I hadn't asked Lily yet. Something that suddenly felt very important. That conversation with my daughter later that night changed everything. Rachel probably realized she said too much the moment the words left her mouth. "You're acting like this is the first time something like this happened." The air between us changed immediately. I looked at her. "What did you just say?" Rachel shook her head quickly. "Nothing. I just meant you're overreacting." "Well." I stepped closer. "That's not what you meant." My mom suddenly cut in. "Maria, you're twisting her words." I didn't answer them. I turned around, walked back to the car and got in the driver's seat. Lily looked at me. "Are we going home now?" "Yes." I started the engine and pulled out of the driveway without looking back at the house. The drive home was quiet for a few minutes. Then I asked the question that had been sitting in my chest since Rachel spoke. "Lily." She looked over. "Yeah. Has Grandma ever asked you to stay in the car before?" She didn't answer right away. That pause was enough to make my hands tighten on the steering wheel. Then she nodded. "A couple times." My stomach dropped. He thought about it. Last month when they went to the grocery store. And once when Aunt Rachel had to pick something up from a store. "How long?" "Not long." She looked out the window. "Maybe 30 minutes. 30 minutes. I kept driving but my mind was racing. "Why didn't you tell me?" He shrugged. "Grandma said it's normal. She said kids wait in cars all the time." I didn't say anything for the rest of the drive. When we got home, Lily went straight to her room to change into pajamas. I sat at the kitchen table with my phone in my hand. For a long time I stared at the screen. Then I opened my banking app again. Not just the transfers I had canceled earlier. Everything. The small monthly subscriptions. The grocery delivery account tied to my card. The insurance payment I had been covering for Rachel's car. One by one I removed my card from all of them. Then I blocked both of their numbers. 10 minutes later my phone started lighting up with unknown calls. I ignored them. A few minutes after that my email started filling with messages. Maria, please call us. We need to talk. This is going too far. Family doesn't do this. I closed the email app. Across the apartment I could hear Lily humming quietly in her room while she played with something on her desk. That sound made the decision feel very simple. My family was sitting down the hallway. Not in that house I had been paying for. I never sent them another dollar after that night. They tried apologizing later. They even came to my apartment a few weeks after the bank finally sent them the first mortgage warning. But by then I had already made one thing very clear to myself. Anyone who thinks a child is a distraction doesn't get to be part of that child's life. Not even if they're family. Even if they're family. Even if they're family.